See what nonsense is in store for today.
Different topic on the situation of the border. John Kirby a few minutes ago said that the U.S. probably could be doing more to deal with the situation there. What more should the White House be doing, and what more has the president been doing to address this situation we've seen over the last week or two, especially with slave search?
So I think one of the things I think he meant by that is when we did the emergency supplemental, the national security component of that, it had a border security.
Oh my God. What are you talking about?
And that because the president understood that we did need to do more. And that's why he asked for very important emergency funds to do just that. And what you're seeing, certainly from the Senate side at this time, I know they have decided to go home, but those conversations to get border security, to get that bipartisan agreement continues. And we encourage Congress to get to that as soon as possible, certainly when they get back. So obviously we're having those negotiation conversations to get more funding because we understand, the president understands that we need to do more. And as it relates to what we're seeing, the flow of migrants that we're seeing at the border, DHS is maximizing its enforcement efforts. That is important. And the thing that is also, is important is the message that we have to send to smugglers, right? We have to be very, very mindful because they also put out misinformation. So we try to be mindful there as well. And what we're seeing here at the border, the migration flow, increased migration flow, certainly it ebbs and flows. And we're at a time of the year where we're seeing more at the border. And it's not unusual. This is an immigration system that has been broken for decades.
What are you talking about?
And the president has taken this very seriously to try to do more. That's why we have the comprehensive immigration policy legislation that the president put forth on day one. So yes, there is more to be done.
Well, no fucking shit.
But we need the help of Congress to get that done.
There's nothing the president can do himself unilaterally to serve reasons.
Look, we asked for more border patrol, right? And he was able to get 24,000 more border patrol folks, law enforcement folks at the border. That's unprecedented.
What?
We asked for more. And you got Republicans in Congress who, especially in the House, who want to cut that. They actually want to do the opposite of what the president is trying to do. And so, look, the president has done everything that he can, right, on his own. There's clearly diplomatic conversation happening with AMLO and other folks, other leaders in the region. We're going to continue to have those conversations just to make sure that we deal with the flow. But we also need funding. We also need funding to deal with the border security, which is what we're trying to do right now with these negotiations that are happening with the Senate, with senators right now. Okay.
Lucky for you, my word don't mean squat.
Just to follow up on that, you said the president has done everything he can on his own on this issue. The letter from House Speaker Johnson suggesting otherwise, that there are specific steps that can be taken. Do you see anything in what he suggested that you would be open to?
So I heard the letter. I have not read the letter, so I can't speak to the letter. They decided to go home. Let's not forget. Before the Senate did and did not participate, right? They wanted to push forward our HR 2, which as we have said, it doesn't help the border, actually makes it worse, cuts costs, cuts law enforcement. It does not help at all.
Yeah, you're going to make it all 220?
Yeah, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
And so, look, we are having those conversations doing the Senate negotiations, and we want to make sure that we come to a bipartisan agreement. We understand that. We understand to actually deal with this issue, we need a bipartisan agreement, which is why the president put forth a comprehensive immigration plan, legislation, to be even more clear on the first day. And so I can't speak to the letter. I have not seen it. I heard about it when I was coming out, but I cannot speak to what Speaker Johnson has laid out in the letter.
Still more nonsense.
Very specifically in terms of the conversations that Biden had with the Mexican leader today, or in these conversations that are going to be happening in the coming days, is the remain in Mexico policy something that is at all on the table in those discussions?
So I'm not going to go into the detail of diplomatic conversations that the president is having. We're going to do. I'm not ruling anything out from here. I'm not going to negotiate from here. That's not what I'm going to do, or lay out what is on the agenda from here.
Whoa.
Conversations continue. Obviously, it takes diplomatic diplomatic conversation like the president is having with the president of Mexico to deal with the flow that we're seeing coming into the border. So we have to actually have those conversations, and that's what the president is doing, and he's been doing that the last 2 years, and that's what you're going to see. I'm just not going to get ahead of that.
One quick one. Senate sent back Julie Sue's nomination. Are you okay with her continuing in an acting capacity in 2024, or do you want to force a vote on this issue?
So look, we believe, and we are going to be very clear, Julie Sue will be renominated of Secretary of Labor in the new year. That is something that we are committed to. And as it relates to her acting authority, look, because she was confirmed, and you've heard me say this before, by the Senate as Deputy Labor Secretary, she is able to continue serving as acting Labor Secretary. So we see her performance as admirable. And we think she is doing a great job in that role. And so we urge Senate to take action, swift action, to confirm her as secretary. Certainly, she will be renominated, and we are certainly committed to that. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You talked about the supplemental request to Congress for more funding when it comes to the border, but we also hear all the time from Republicans that it's not just about funding. They want these policy changes. I understand you don't want to negotiate from the podium, but can you tell the American people if there's any immigration policy that this White House is willing to talk about and is working on with Republicans?
So I want to be really careful as negotiations happen. We don't want to do this in the public, right? It does not help the process.
There were rumors that there was a rumor, but that was just bullshit.
And so we want to make sure that those negotiations are happening. Obviously, we're part of those negotiations with the senators. We think it's going in the right direction. We want to make sure that we get to a bipartisan agreement. It's incredibly important. The president understands. He understands that we have to fix this immigration system. It has been broken for decades now. And so we have to do everything that we can to fix that system. And so we're going to have those conversations. And you're right, it's not just about funding. It's also about policy discussions that they're having. And so don't want to get ahead of it. And let's not forget, this is a president that has had these types of negotiation, or been part of these types of, his team certainly has been part of these types of negotiations for some, obviously in different subjects and legislation. So that has happened for the last two almost 3 years, and they've been successful. So we're going to continue to do that and stay steadfast on that.
Just following up on that, is it fair then to say that the White House thinks there will likely need to be some change to the asylum system?
I'm not going to get into specifics from here, but we understand that there needs to be a bipartisan agreement, right? And so when you have a bipartisan agreement, right, both sides have to decide what they are willing to move forward with. I just want to be super mindful and let the team that are doing the negotiations do that themselves. And when they're ready to share what they've decided on, we will certainly talk about it.
Well, these matches say you're lying.
I'm out of here.